Hi, this is Catherine Maxwell. I am an avid pole walker as well as an instructor with Nordixx International, and I'm here to introduce our distributor of the month for February, Ginger Quinn. She has achieved amazing success in her business, and I know you're going to be excited to hear the top secret of what has created her success in her business here today. So with that, welcome, Ginger.
I'm happy to be here, Catherine. Thank you very much.
Ginger, I know that you're one of the top distributors with Nordixx. Give the audience just a little bit of an idea of what life was like before you were introduced to Nordixx.
I spent 34 years in the food service industry, and I had the privilege of working with such giants as Tim Hortons and McDonald's, and I was primarily a national account manager. I spent most of my time either in my car, on a plane, or sitting in front of someone's desk or behind one. So, in short, very little physical activity, but an awful lot of sales and I guess people contact and maneuvering. So I loved it. It's probably one of the best careers you could have ever chosen. So very successful and very pleased.
With all of that sitting on planes and in meetings, etc., would you say that you were mainly inactive, or did you have a lot of activity in your life as well?
No, I spent a lot of time, I taught Weight Watchers for a number of years. I tried probably every gym you could possibly think of, and curves and all kinds of things, but no, I would say it was very sedentary, and I didn't even realize that, because when you're so busy and you're constantly moving around, you're thinking, okay, I'm active. But in point of fact, I wasn't physically active at all. And I know that now. I certainly didn't believe it when it was going on. I thought I was extremely active because I had very long days. And I had 2 children that took all over. But no,
yes.
No, yeah, it's very sedentary.
Well, it's a very hot topic right now, and that is that there are some major studies coming out saying that sitting or that kind of inactivity is now considered to be the new smoking. It's very detrimental to your health. So I'm going to be fascinated to hear your story and how this infusion of a very active career path has changed your health in many ways. So how did you hear about Nordic pole walking?
Well, it was actually in 2009, and a mutual friend introduced Dr. Klaus Schwambeck to my husband Doug and I. We had just both found ourselves out on the street, so to say, with all that downsizing. We found ourselves unemployed in 2008. And decided to throw all of our money into our home health care business. And that was in 2009. And we had the privilege of meeting Klaus because he had wanted to move the benefits of Nordic out of the hospital settings and get down into the community, and thought that, well, this would be a great thing if we start to get the people in home health care. And I'll never forget, I was sitting at the desk in the office with Doug, and in walked the tallest, straightest man I had ever seen in my life. And the first thing I did was try to sit up straight in the chair. I had never seen anyone with such posture. It was absolutely amazing. And the funny part about it, I wasn't really actively in the business. Doug was. So Klaus was explaining the benefits of Nordic Walking and what he wanted to do and his vision for taking it out into the community to make people healthy. And my husband said, well, Ginger, you're not doing much right now. Why don't you go and become an instructor? And that's how it started. That Saturday, I drove to Peterborough for 8:30 in the morning and became an instructor, a Nordixx instructor, in November 2009. And Catherine, I remember up there, it was a little chilly, and I remember going up there and saying, did somebody say athlete? Because I was trying to get around with these poles, and that's when I really noticed that I was definitely leading a sedentary lifestyle. The other thing that people didn't really know about me was that I had totaled a Ford Explorer in 2006 on my way to Little Caesars in Detroit. I was very lucky to come out of that with what I thought was absolutely no issues at all. That was the May 24 weekend, and then that September, I woke up and my right leg was completely seized and started to drag and ache like a toothache. And they found out that I had piriformis syndrome, so the same leg that was trying to stop the collision was the one that was traumatized. So I spent 2006, 7, 8, and 9 kind of going from bench to bench, lots of stilettos, and had an awful lot of trouble maneuvering. But when I became that instructor that day, I was up the hills, down the hills, and I remember coming home and going, oh my goodness, I can actually move. Of course, I seized up the next day, but I started to do this on a regular basis, and it's phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. When they say if you don't use it, you lose it, it's absolutely true. You've got to keep moving.
Well, you've got an amazing story. So really, you had a major injury there, and then you were introduced to the pole walking.
Yeah.
And so what have you experienced since then in terms of turning around that injury, let alone the rest of your health?
Well, the interesting thing about it was gradual. I started in this very building that I'm in right now, which is the Dufferin Center, the soccer center up in Acton. And I started walking around with the poles, trying to get my technique, because it was very uncoordinated. And I really wanted to do this. And I started to use my upper body. So when you're using the poles, your upper body lightens the load on your hips and your knees by about 30%. So I was lifting the bad leg off the ground with my upper body. The stronger I got, the better I got at this. The better my leg was when I didn't have the poles. So there was times I could, and it's progression, right? You get better and better. But certainly without the poles, if somebody said to me, run and I'll give you $1 million, I can't. If I was to go for a walk for any length of time, I know I could probably walk around 2 kilometers without the poles, but then my leg will start to get very, very heavy and drag. But with the poles, Catherine, I completed my second half marathon, and I couldn't have done that without the poles.
It's a phenomenal story, and it's a testament to the fact that when people have hip injuries and they have challenges with their joints, that this low-impact sport can have a major impact on their health and really help them in that healing process. Would you agree?
Absolutely, and it's even better than just a low impact is because you have resistance. So you're actually building your upper body and your muscles, which are then distributing your weight. So what allows people like me or people that have mobility issues, a perfect example are people that have perhaps Parkinson's, people that have a shuffle, people that have canes, where it is very difficult to move, and anyone that's walked with a cane for any length of time can tell you it's not an easy thing to do. But when you put 2 canes, shall we say, in people's hands, then you're actually distributing the weight. And our body's quite amazing because it's a lot smarter. Our brains are a lot smarter than we give them credit. Your body will say, gee, Ginger has something in her recessive side or left hand and in her right, and your brain will send a message and say, we need as much power on that recessive side as we have on the dominant side. And that's why cross-country skiers or Nordic walkers are the most centered, because they use both sides of their body equally. And that is an amazing thing.
That is an amazing thing. And, you know, they talk about resistance exercise and how important, as you're aging, how important that is to engage in. And a lot of people just think of weightlifting when they think about resistance. But what Nordic Walking does, if I hear you correctly, is it engages the muscle with in the same way as if you were lifting weights, because it is your own body weight that you're pushing forward, correct?
Yeah. Yes, and in fact, even more so, you'd have to put an awful lot of weight, particularly to get your back muscles engaged. So when you're, and what they're talking about, low impact with resistance, because muscle building, as you think of it, your muscles are attached to your bones. 1 in 3 women has osteoporosis, 1 in 5 men. As we age, and that starts, your bone bank starts when you're young. We're seeing people with sedentary lifestyles, and what kind of resistance are they doing? What was I doing in my past life? How weak was my upper body? My bone density now is just about off the Richter scale because of doing this. And prior to that, I was at a high risk for osteoporosis because of my mother having the disease, right? So what they're saying is get up and use that. When you use those muscles, only active muscles take sugar out of your blood, and that's a key thing. We're hearing about obesity, type 2 diabetes, and it isn't just for the seniors. Most seniors are very active. Think of the people in the workforce. Think of the children. We now have 2-year-olds with iPads, Catherine. This is an epidemic of a sedentary lifestyle, and we've got to change it.
We do, and that's part of our message, isn't it, is to get the word out there that there is something that people can very easily engage in. It's cost-effective, it's easy to learn, and there are instructors everywhere. So tell us a little bit more about, you started out as an instructor, and now you are one of the top distributors. What made you see the massive opportunity ahead of you business-wise?
Well, as I said, it was November 2009 when I became an instructor, and it wasn't until that January that, we actually got a first shipment of poles in, even prior to Nordixx being conceived. And I started walking with the poles indoors, trying to get that technique, and people started to come up and say, we've done that. We did that in Germany. We did that here. What are you doing? And I would have poles, and I remember I bought 10 sets of poles. I thought, that's it, that's the price point, I'm getting it. And I knew that it was good for me, and I started to see the change in my body, and people started to see the change. And then it's exactly what they said. It's your posture changes, your oxygen intake goes up, you lighten the load on your hips, your knees. I mean, all of these things happen, and you're kind of baffled by it because we live with an opinion that things have to hurt to be good for you. But in point of fact, man's DNA has never changed, and man has been made to walk upright. So when you use this amazing body just the way it's supposed to be, it really does take care of a lot of the issues that we have. Does it cure a lot of diseases? Absolutely not. But in my groups, there are people that have gone off their insulin. There are people that no longer have to take high blood pressure medication. It's not a choice that we get, though. I mean, your healthcare provider will tell you, but it improves the quality of life for so many people. My piriformis isn't cured, but look what I can do. I can wear the stilettos, I can do a half marathon, and I can, I can get to the dining room table, as they say, and the moment you can't do that, we're all on a slippery slope. So mobility really is the key to our longevity, and that's why they're saying if you keep sitting, things are going to break down, and I don't think we really believe that. I know I thought that it was a choice to go to the gym, but I wouldn't be buffed. I didn't realize that if I don't use this body, it absolutely breaks down, and age has nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's such an important message to get out there, and you are your own best advertisement, And is that part of how you have attracted a lot of instructors into your organization?
Absolutely. It's the passion, and I would always have the passion for the poles, but I also have the passion for the people. And that is my background, and when you can, the best relationships in business, that's what you have, and they become your friends, and it's a great opportunity and a great privilege. You have to love what you do every day, and I've always been blessed with that opportunity. And with the poll, it took it a step further because not only was I getting better and curing myself, but other people were coming, and they were improving, and they were going back to their doctors and going, oh, my goodness, I have Parkinson's and I don't have to increase my restless leg syndrome, or I have MS and the number of falls. I'm reducing the number of falls because I'm becoming more centered. Things that people get to do. People that I remember, there was one gentleman. He was walking with a cane, and he had came up to one of the shows, and he says, "I have, I think it was 20." Brought out a little picture with an X-ray of all the pins in his ankles, and he would have been in his early 40s, late 30s. And he says, "You know, I'm having trouble walking with the cane. People don't realize how difficult it is to go walking." And I said to him, "Well, would you like to try the pole?" And we were at the Simcoe Fair, and he put the poles on, and we headed out of the show and went around the midway. And with his upper body lifted, strong upper body, lifting his feet off the ground, he was like Ebenezer Scrooge. He had tears in his eyes, and he said to me, "You know, it's been 3 years since I was able to get that foot off the ground." We don't realize, we take our mobility for granted. But if you ever break something or lose something, you know, at any point in time, you realize, wow, everything is connected. So, you know, and that's the kind of thing. It's what they call an easy sell. It's a bit of a no-brainer because, one, all the data, all the history has already been done. When I started to use the poles, books had been written. Insurance companies were paying for poles in Europe. I saw an investment in myself, but also in other people that made sense, and there was a need for it. So the first thing I did, being unemployed, as you can well imagine, I went down to the bank manager and said, let's make an investment here. Let's get those RSPs, and I bought my first distributorship that way. And it wasn't a risk, Catherine, because I had already seen what the poles could do, and I also there was also a business model, a very successful one, in Europe. And I think most of us that have, you know, that love the poles and have gotten into the business really realize what a gift it is to be able to give people back their health without being
involved. It's a huge gift. And it's a gift that people give to themselves, too, isn't it? And not just you instructing them, but, you know, to give yourself another opportunity to turn their health around for good. And that is such a gift that you can give to yourself, isn't it?
It is. And what's amazing about this is, again, once people realize, you know, it doesn't have to hurt to do good. And it's for people of all fitness levels and all ages can get out there and get mobile. And the more you move, the better you move. It's an amazing thing. You take people, we have people that have walkers. And it's not for everyone that has a walker, but what we understand is as an exercise, if we can get people to get up and use the poles as an exercise, it improves those muscles. Everything is moving. 90% of your muscles are engaged. We jokingly call it a lube job for the body because the muscles are attached to the joints. The synovial fluid starts to flow. It's such a good thing.
Well, it sounds like we've heard a little bit of your secret sauce to success here, and that is you have amazing passion for the poles and passion for the people. And you've sustained that because you've seen so many people recover their health in a very positive way. Would you say that there's anything else that has really contributed to your success?
Well, I think the fact that you empower people to get active, but you also, my background, as you said, was sales. So really, I'm just taking that passion out and getting it to people, you know, in the community. But the real thing that I'm seeing, and this is the evolution of my experience with Nordixx, is now we're attracting the attention of the experts. And that's the exciting part, Catherine, because it's one thing for Ginger as an instructor and a Nordixx distributor. Again, now I've got two areas. It's just beginning to blossom with Nordixx. But when you can tap onto the talent out there, so the diabetes educators that are teaching Nordixx walking, the people that are doctors now. We've got in Milton where doctors are going, let's walk the talk, and are out there with poles walking with their patients, because you lead by example. And then you've got athletes, top athletes, CrossFit trainers, but taking it down into the schools. That's an interesting thing. So like attracts like. We're just the tip of the iceberg here. In Europe, when it started, Nordic pole walking started, 80% were women, 20% men. Then it went to a 60-40 split. And I'm on year 6 in some of my groups that have stayed together. These groups stay together, and we're seeing the same dynamics. It's a 60-40 split between men and women. And now we're starting to see younger and younger people getting involved, because now you're getting those trainers, and they're going, wow, this is a great thing, lower body and resistance, and it's something that everyone can participate in, not just the top athletes, the kids that may have some mobility issues as well, and those that were born like me totally uncoordinated. This is a great brain game, and it's very inclusive.
Mm-hmm. And I think you said something really important here. You talked about personal trainers and the awareness that they need to have that this exists, and this could help so many of their clients if they added this to the repertoire of exercises that they recommended.
Yeah, because it's endurance, right? It's
yes.
Getting out there, getting people mobile, and they can do it. They can do it as a group if they like. They can do it one-on-one with the trainer. So it gives people that choice. I love the gyms. I mean, they're great, but they're not always for everyone. And the portability of the Nordixx poles is why people stay with perceived exertion is next to nothing, and people go, I enjoy doing this. It's very social. You get to walk, you get to talk, and you get to look better and better every day. And the fact that you really lose in the upper body, right, with that resistance, most of the weight now, when they're saying it is the ratio of your waist to your hips. It used to be BMI, and I know people are talking about that, but now it's the circumference of your waist. So when you can say to someone, you're moving with those poles, and on average, you lose 3 inches around the belly, that's a great thing. That's what we want.
That's a very healthy thing. You talked about mobility, you talked about portability, and let's talk about affordability, because when you look at a gym membership, which may cost anywhere from $30 to $60 and more per month, the cost of the poles is so small compared to that, and so it's affordable for everyone.
Oh, absolutely, because, I mean, in 6 years, I think on one hand I can count any poles that I had to replace, not because they were bent, nothing because of hand straps, it was just a tightening issue. Other than that, and I mean, I have thousands of poles that have gone out there. They are durable. They're designed for Nordic walking. The strength, obviously, pole is in the diameter, and with the Nordixx poles, you can see that. The biggest value when people ask me, what is the best thing about your poles? It's the strap. It's the hand strap. If people held on tight like they were holding a cane, muscles are engaged. You'd be very, very tired at the end of a half marathon. If you were holding on all the time, you would aggravate arthritis and tendinitis. So we have a glove on our pole that's amazing. And the only thing that really wears out are the little rubber tips on the bottom of the pole. And those are like $7.50 a pair, Catherine, to replace. So it's not a big thing. And it is the durability, but also when we're talking about portability, we have people now, you're outside in your own community. In the winter, you may be indoors on a track, be it at a velodrome or a soccer field, but in the summer and the spring, you take your poles, you're out in your own community, you're using the parks. There are people that are doing tours with these poles, be it in the vineyards or in downtown historical tours. So there's an awful lot of things that can be done just to get back to nature, and I know our trails are underused, and we are bringing more and more people out into the trails. I know in the Halton region we're doing that, and I know I have instructors up in the Caledon area, and it's giving people of all age levels and physical ability a chance to get out there back in the trail. Again, you get back to the thing. Stability, 2 poles are better than 1.
You've said and covered something really important, and I just want to go over it one more time because a lot of people are not aware of the power of the glove, the straps, and how much that contributes to their fitness if you're using the right technique. There are poles out there that do not have straps, and when you're gripping tightly to keep hold of that pole, you can actually create some carpal tunnel issues in your hand. And what our straps do is it actually helps you relax your hand and keeps your hand in the right position so that you have the greatest amount of power in propelling yourself forward. Anything else you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, well, one of the things, the Nordic technique, and that's what we do. We do the Nordic technique. And the Nordic technique, like cross-country skiers, involves releasing the pole when it passes your hip. So if you don't have a strap on it, you can't get the total technique. And I mean, that is the Nordic technique. Having said all of that, it is about the pole, but people have to know that it's not just bringing your ski pole. It's the ratio of your getting your spine aligned and relaxing. And as you said, if you hold on all the time, you get very sore. Mm-hmm. And also, for people that have, in our groups, if someone had a stroke, that doesn't mean they can't Nordic walk. They do. If people cannot hold on tight, the strap allows them. So you can reach a wider audience with that strap than without the strap.
Well, it's really an important point to emphasize because I think that it really sets the Nordic poles apart from other poles that are out there that may call themselves Nordic poles but are not really the true Nordic walker pole. So that anybody who's considering becoming a distributor, as you know, we are all across Canada, all across the U.S. The distributor opportunities are massive. What would you say to somebody who was considering this? What advice would you give?
Well, I think once you realize, first thing, just the benefits. We've got the studies. The European studies have all been done. They're easy to access. If anyone is interested in getting copies of them, we have them. Nordixx has all of those studies. Most of them have been European studies, but we are absolutely thrilled. The Nordixx and the goal of Nordixx was to have people Nordic walking in every community across Canada. Have we achieved that? No. We need more distributors. We need more help, but we need more studies on that, and that's what we're starting to see, Catherine. The universities, various groups are. The more people out there polling, the more attention we get, and people are going, hey, what are you doing? Why is this improving your blood pressure? Why is this improving your health? Why are you losing weight? Why is your bone density getting better? And we are now getting those studies up there. So we're touch, like I said, the tip of the iceberg has been touched here, and we need more areas of the country being addressed, because we can't be everywhere, although we try to. So we need more distributors, more people that are going to take this health and wellness into their community, because we're not a healthy community. We hear it every day, and just in the workforce, lunch and learns alone that we're doing. In my area, I can't do alone. Even with our instructors, we can't reach that market. We need to have more distributors, and we need to have more support, and I know that's what we're working on with our studies, so that we can bring this up, and governments will be saying, hey, yeah, like they do in Europe, yeah, we'll pay for polls, we'll pay for lessons, let's get it into the school system, let's make sure that we don't keep building homes for people to go in, but that we allow them to stay in their homes, in their communities, and allow them to improve the quality of life so that they can do that. We're going to have 1 million centenarians in the next 5 years, Catherine, and all I can say is I'm using the polls, because if you ever get a replacement, they're not going to last more than 15 years, and we're going to live a lot longer than that. So
that's good to keep in mind.
The business model is good.
Well, you've certainly inspired me, and I know you've probably inspired many people who are listening to this recording. And what I love most about your message is your passion and the fact that you care so much for people. You've seen transformation upon transformation, and that's how the message gets out there, is more people like yourself who are committed to sharing this message with as many people as possible. So I want to thank you for being here today. I know that people have really got a lot out of what you've told us here today. Any last words for new distributors or new instructors out there that they could take with them?
Distributors and instructors, it's bring it into your wheelhouse. Think of what it is that you love to do, how you want to address it. The market's there, because look at all the people. Where the kids, we're looking at ages. There's people that are working at the YWCAs doing this. There are people that want to do this at the business level in the workforce, trying to get people up and moving. Again, even an extension for coaches. When you see little hockey players putting on a pedometer, getting the poles, and we've got to do 10,000 steps a day just to be considered active. There's no age restriction on that, and you can't take the, if you've got the long legs, you can't steal the steps off of someone with little legs. We all have to do at least 10,000 steps, and these kids put a pedometer on. They got their upper body, and they're running, and they're checking. They're 8 and 10-year-olds going, how many steps did you do? We've got to be able to take that kind of exercise, full-body workout, into a lot of our organized sports. Let more and more kids get active here. And I think that's where people are thinking out there. I'm hoping they're thinking, yeah, this is how I can do good in the world, feel good, and also make money, because that's a good thing. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Food on the table at the end of the day.
Yes. Yes, that's right. And how many careers actually offer you an opportunity to get in shape and stay in shape just by simply showing up for work?
Because we've got people up in their 90s doing this in Nordic Walking. And again, it's all about getting active and quality of life. So I hope everybody's thinking, yeah, I'd like to see that. And I'll tell you one last little thing. I was just jumping the other day. It was a Wednesday night. I was at the Gellert, and we were Nordic Walking, and it's a little chilly out there, as you know, Catherine. And all of a sudden, I saw a flashlight coming up. It looked like a flashlight coming up in front of me. And in front of me, with inline skates and poles in his hands, and a little, I called it like a Men of the Deep light on his head, was an amazing cross-country skier. Inline skates and the poles, and he was speeding around like Jackrabbit Johansson. And I said to him, oh my God, I can't believe it. I love what you're doing, and I know it's all over Europe. I wish that everybody could see you and what you're doing. He says, I've been doing this for years. He says, and I run with the poles in the off-season. So they're there. They've been there. We just haven't seen them. And I got his autograph.
Yes. Wow, that's a great note to finish our little chat on. But I want to thank you for being here, for inspiring others, for helping to spread the words, and for most of all, for the passion that you've delivered your message with. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this is Catherine signing off, and thanks again, Ginger, and take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.